Peace, Joy.
Peace. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All
I'm
right,
gonna
cool.
send some reminders to people that we
Yes,
on.
yes. You
We
all come on
on.
and share. Share this live. Share it in people's DMs. Share it however you share it. And then come on back in and hold the space for this Tuesday tea and bourbon. I'm like a little flustered because I was doing mom stuff. And
No worries.
I'm
Oh,
actually have three teenage boys this week.
oh my God.
So I'm trying to keep my head on straight. Let them wander around the city, and then they didn't answer their phone. I'm like, okay, we
Ah,
don't need them
hey
problems.
Dre. I see you. My friend Dre's on. Hi.
Peace,
Oh
peace,
gosh.
peace. Let me turn up my situation. All right, if this is your first time in the space, throw up the tea. Throw up the tea. If you be here a week, let me see your
Let's see this.
bourbons, your water, whatever you feeling like. Everybody don't drink.
Your tequila.
Oh, you got some tequila today?
Yes, today, yes. Oh, yes.
It must have been that day because I swear, like usually in our group, everybody y'all kind of chime in or something. Like it was crickets. I was like, okay, I'm the only one. I'm the only one here today.
Well, I thought what we were talking about in our group chat was really interesting, and I was like this close to taking a nap, and I was like, no, no, if I do that, I won't wake up. So I really wanted to be on here for this. And yeah, like how's the rest of your day been though? You say you've been busy and
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I mean, it got me out the house. I'm usually not out the house on a Tuesday.
hmm
I usually don't get out to like later on the week when I have to force myself to get out the house just because
oh
I'm a
yeah.
body. That's really it. But peace, Shannon.
Peace. And what's the countdown? What's the countdown to NOLA?
Oh my God, what is today? What is today? We
Mm,
got like 14 more days.
the 15th. Yes!
2 more weeks. Is it really two? I feel like it's only a week. 2 more weeks. Okay, two more
Two
weeks.
more
Like
weeks, yeah.
exactly, because we're leaving. Okay, yeah. Anyway, all the things.
I'm very excited. First time in NOLA. Hey, if you guys have any tips or things to do or places you love to eat in NOLA, put it in the chat.
Yes, and we're
Yes,
going to NOLA. I know you just like came back.
that's right.
Yes, we are going. It's both of our first time there. Always wanted to go and experience it. Yes, yes, yes. Always wanted to go and experience it. Yes, we are going for my 40th
Whoop.
to be with the spirits and the ancestors that are present there and each other. Um, oh yeah, it's all things. I'm excited. I'm excited. I can't quit shopping though. I'm still getting stuff like, and I haven't flown in like since 2019, 2020. Yeah, 19.
Oh, dang. Like for
So
vacation or period?
period. Like I haven't
Oh,
flown. So I'm like, I'm a little anxious to see what it's like right now.
right,
Um,
exactly.
yeah,
That'll
so
be.
I really want to pack light, but also make sure I have all the essentials. And I've never been a pack light type of person. Like I always have to pay for bags, like extra
Oh no,
trips.
you're a heavy packer.
Yeah, and my not only that, but my suitcase is usually like the extra large, like
And
the
you
hard
still have to
case,
pay for.
extra large.
That's so
It's
funny.
so bad, but I'm gonna try to put everything into my little. Yeah, right. Anyway.
That's one of those. That's so funny, actually. I'll tell you why once we're there. But that's very funny. I once did a backpacking trip to the Netherlands and Sweden and Denmark, and I took a book bag for a month, and that was it. And that was the
Wow.
lightest I've ever packed.
You went
Yeah.
to the Netherlands?
hmm
Did you?
Yeah.
You never told me that.
Oh, this was because this was like a long time ago. This was like 2010 was awesome for me. Like that was like a whole year of like very sporadic travel that I wasn't like I didn't know that I would be traveling then. I was still in
Yeah.
college and I ended up going to like Detroit and then overseas and then just like kind of like all around the, the
You go to
East Coast. Like,
Detroit and then overseas. Like,
yeah.
how did that happen? I mean, I know it's an international airport, but other than that, what were you doing in
Oh, no, no,
Detroit?
no. Detroit wasn't linked. Detroit was like a whole separate trip. Detroit was the US Social Forum, a whole bunch of like abolition, anarcho, like a really cool. It was just a really cool conference. It was like a whole like week-long conference, and my samba band went at the time. And so that
So,
was just like eye-opening. And the one thing I didn't do was like hit up all the Motown Johns. Like I couldn't I was there for another purpose. So that's
yeah.
something that I really do want to go back and check out because I love Motown.
Detroit is dope, like underground, hip hop,
Yeah,
historical,
yeah,
black, like it's dope. And the food, like
yes,
that's
yes.
it. Detroit was like my second spot because Detroit is only like 45 minutes away from my hometown, from Toledo,
Oh,
that hometown.
oh,
I used to go up there to shop on the weekends,
dang.
for whatever,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, whatever. So yeah, but it's just
Yeah.
not a place that like, yeah, you just like everybody says like.
After
So
NOLA, where's the next spot? Like, where are you wanting to? What's on the map?
definitely water, water. I mean, I know I'm planning to go to Houston, um,
Ooh.
because I got family and friends there. Puerto Rico is also family, so I'm planning to go there. Um, but I don't know, like too far, not too far away from home. I don't have too many things on the list this year.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of waiting for, all the things to see,
Hmm.
to get the rest of that bucket list out the way. But
For sure.
see, what about you?
Singapore is on mine. It's like with my friend Joe and Kendra, we all have been talking about Singapore for like a year,
Mm,
and how we'll get there or what it looks like right now, with like
right.
everything, like we don't know, but that's definitely like one of the top. And I mean, again, these are all like pre-pandemic wishes, right? Like
Hmm.
in India was really on my top,
Hmm.
like southern India, and like taking a train down and like just visiting all of the holy cities, holy spots. I thought that would be really beautiful. Africa, of course, several countries in
Yeah.
Africa. I've got friends
I was
from
supposed to go
Ghana.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to be gone all of August. And yeah, that didn't work out. And then I wanted to go I was like, oh, I'll just go to, this year. I would go for my pilgrimage, at least do that trip. So I'm
Right.
still hoping that one will get on. If I do go like far away this year, that'll be that trip. But yeah.
So I want to talk about shifting gears, like what you were posting in the chat today
Mm-hmm.
about self-mastery versus karmic lessons. And I want to
Mm-hmm.
know like what tapped you into that as like a thought for today, or like are there themes that are going on for you personally? And then my other question to you was, hey Tasha, how is this for you related to my
Yeah,
I know it's a big question.
yeah, it's been so this I would say like right when like the retrogrades and everything started.
Hmm.
I don't know, I was going through like just I just felt clogged, like I was like just clogged up, couldn't really think clearly, sleep clear, dreams weren't clear, any of that. And so it leaves me really like have this like frustrated feeling like that I'm just agitated. And so I was just really being mindful of that because I have my past like karmic cycles were around not paying attention to those things that are happening outside of me, and then how it affects me inside and my mood especially. All this really affected me because I'm Cancer Sun, Gemini Moon, Gemini Rising, Gemini, and two other placements. So all this happening around this Gemini season, I just felt like, yeah, I was like both of my voices at the same time going off.
Hmm.
um and yeah, and then in the past cycles I would act out of that. either like anger or like just frustration or just real snappy mouth, not really thinking or caring about how it lands on other people. So I just had to really be mindful of that, of my energy around that. And to me, that is like what has happened in this cycle around just really understanding that there's a clearing that's happening. And so I have to be patient, and I have to be gentle. I like the word gentle over patient. I have to be gentle with
totally.
myself over that. And so I was also doing a lot of reflecting because I have a lot of ending cycles in my life right now. And so I had to deal with that. And then also like the grief cycles of, of life, and death. And so just really, I think just observing myself. And as I felt myself like come out of that this week, observing myself and how, hi Cassie, observing myself and how like how I used to get stuck in that part. And to me, that's my art. I think one thing about people forget about my art is that my art is also exemplifying unconditional love. Like through the order, within the chaos, through the balance, within the imbalance, like all of that stuff, it's the unconditional love. That's how my art brings everything together. And so for me, it's really not judging myself on my past karmic cycles, not judging myself on my, my youthfulness or whatever decisions or mishaps or quote unquote mistakes I have, and not regretting it. But just observing it and telling myself and watching it and reflecting it, but saying, okay, what part of this now is about self-mastery? What part now can I grasp onto, let go of? That's no longer me. A lot of those things are no longer me. But some of this stuff, I am still me. Like I was juggling, like, I haven't had anyone say this, but I shift a lot. So I know people watch me and watch my different cycles and like, yeah, she went from like full hair wrap, locks, like no makeup, like, yeah, but I also went through cycles before that.
Right.
So,
right.
I went through periods where I felt like I had to do certain things in order to cleanse myself, in order to keep myself focused and away from distractions. I had to do things because, all types of whatever. And so I had to, that was for that period and that time. Until I learned the lessons that I needed to learn. And now I can think that those same things are no longer distractions. They are a part of my story. And now I know how to, they don't even come up anymore because again, like that karmic cycle is done. So for me, it's really the gentle practice. It's really understanding all the things of my art and the balance, the order, the justice, the love, the truth, getting to the truth of it, because that was also a major part in the last coming weeks was like, okay, what part of this is true for myself now?
Yeah.
And what part of this is no longer true?
Exactly.
And even what part of this was true then, like, then I did that, that's done, whatever. And what part of that still is an essence or something still left that I need to resolve, if so, or whatever. So yeah, it's just been a lot of that, a lot of clearing, because I am going into a different quarter of my life. And so I just want to take it all like and embrace it. So
thanks for sharing.
Answer the question.
I love it. Ain't long-winded. We got it. I love hearing what you have to say, as I'm sure everybody else does here in the chat. When I saw you post that, like the post that you sent, it had said something like self-mastery versus karmic lessons, and I was like, oh, I don't see it as a versus type thing. It's not Eve versus Trina. Like, it's not that. It's It's both, and I have this really funny. I think I've shared it with you too, but Aja and I really like had like a gut laugh at this. Like we're out here, we signed up for this, we've renewed our lease as a tenant on this earth, this indigenous land, and there's karma to that. Like sometimes she and I will joke about like, oh, the Galactic Federation really like duped us. They said everything about unconditional love and rainbows and bunnies and all this. And what's this? What's this?
Oh my
What is
goodness.
what is the rest of the fuckery? What's going on?
Yeah,
But
that's where
what
science and spirituality is like, it really does take a balancing practice, because it's like,
yeah.
because they can really rule out each other. It's like, what the hell? What are we doing
Yeah.
again?
And I thought of that too, and I was like, oh, okay, there's karma to like renewing yourself, and like to break it down, like karma. Um, some people really like to like mince words when they talk about karma, but like in purpose, it's like an action driven by your intention, right? And like those kinds of actions, they all have consequences. And so it's like that those types of actions will like set the tone for the cycle of rebirth and renewal. So and if you're wanting to like break it down about like what's consequence, then like that should probably be defined too, because like generally you're thinking about consequences kind of holding like this negative, like this real, you know what I mean? Like when people think consequences, you think about punishment right away,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like corporeal punishment, something along those lines. But consequences can really be viewed as importance or an important result based on an action. So like even like we're talking about science and spirituality again, like Newton's third law of motion, right? Like every action has an equal and an opposite reaction, right?
Yeah.
And so going to that, like I've read various things, like various books. I love everything from like Pema Chodron to her teacher, Trungpa Rinpoche. This is all like Theravada Buddhist type writings. I love Mayat, the principles of, like I've read different things, and like you it's telling you that you learn self-mastery, right? It's not just like you might come in with like intelligence or spiritual intelligence, but like really to like master a craft or master an art, or like, you know what I mean? Like you're learning how to go where your attention flows. And even the Chinese will say that chi flows where the mind goes, right? And so like you have to kind of base these, like even like with the principles of Mayat, like whatever you're signing up for and whatever like action I am taking right now, I'm also giving value to the energy and the time that I'm putting into that. And so I think one of my biggest takeaways in thinking about when you posted it was two things. That, oh, if I believe that chi flows where the mind goes, then I want to be loyal to my own peace of mind. That's number one.
That is
That's
so
number that's number one.
mm-hmm.
And number two, I just read recent like that your situation, whatever karmic thing or whatever, you might think that karmic is, what your situation will never trump your purpose. Those are the two like big takeaways that I had from what do I think about self-mastery versus karmic lessons. Like I feel like karma is going to inform how I master those lessons and not want to repeat cycles because my own peace of mind is at the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I was
And
thinking
how do you define karma?
about. I'd say just as I described it, like that there are, right, like whatever action that I will take is going to have some sort of opposite but equal reaction. So, if I plant a fig tree, I'm gonna get figs, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um,
So it's not
but
necessarily an external thing, or even I think what I'm trying to ask and get to is like, again, back to this science and spirituality. Um, I think we shape a lot of that, right? We shape all of it, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the ideals around karma are based in spirituality. It's not based in science. And so
Yeah.
when we think about karma, we're thinking about past lives, or we're thinking about this lives. And I think one of the questions that I have been really um, thinking about is, how do we reconcile karma when we're talking about like being in these black and brown bodies, right? Like, how do we reconcile like what that means for us when a lot of the um, consequential things aren't of our own doing? And
Mm-hmm.
so to me, that brings back around this idea of shaping. Like, I've been reading Octavia Butler's the parable.
Parable of the
Yes.
sower. Mm-hmm.
And these ideas around, which I've always understood, which is why I have drifted from different spiritual principles all my life, because I have an understanding that we shape this idea of God. We shape this idea of whatever we think is above us or even
Yeah.
below us or beside us, or what we want to think. And to
Yeah.
me, that goes even with the idea of karma. Like, if we think that we, like when I was going through really the beginning parts of my initiation, it looked like, oh, if I didn't do certain things the way I was taught,
Mm-hmm.
I would think that I would get consequences, and then I would. And
Oh yeah,
so,
because your attention went there. Yeah.
right, my
You were
attention
expecting
went
that.
there. Um, and it's funny that you brought that statement up, because actually I had a quote that popped up last year, I think a couple years ago, that actually quoted, your intention goes where
Yeah.
your, because it's also about, what are you putting in action? What are you actually doing?
Yeah.
What are you actually intending for the outcome to be? And that's what's going to happen. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
just the focus, because I had to get away from that eventually, because I have such a very creative imagination, very vivid, and I understand that I can manifest things so quickly. That's why another part of why things were coming to pass, but also understanding that just because I think it doesn't mean it has to come to pass, because
Right.
now I know how to separate my attention from my intention, or how to put them
Right.
together if need be. And that's through alchemy. I've learned that. But
Yeah.
it's just this larger than, and this deeper understanding of all of these, of really understanding, like, we can use these words
Mm-hmm.
and we can define all these different things,
Right. But at the end of the day,
but at the end of the day,
listen, I think that question is really important about how do you reconcile karma when you are a Black, brown, indigenous person of this earth and the consequences that come from just being. Like, that is such a weighted question. And I have had these discussions too, and like other, like, with other like spiritual practitioners and things like that, and like most of them are white and they don't really understand. And so they can't have this dialogue with
right,
us. But, I would always kind of make the reference of, well, haven't y'all ever seen this quote of like, well, your trauma wasn't your fault, but, your healing is your job kind of thing. And it's just like, that's such a big responsibility. Y'all don't really understand how large of a job that is. And if you were to put self mastery on the Richter scale, like, we hold it down. Like, come on, and
absolutely.
like, I think that is just it's just one part of this healing spiritual journey of like also how to navigate that, and where is my attention going to go. And it's I think it's hard to say, especially like when I was 15 and going to rallies and things like that, like if my older self would have had this conversation with me then, or like even say like even if I had pretend like I had like just gotten into, like any kind of like language or books or anything, not shaming anybody for coming into online, at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
But for the intent and purpose of this, like I would probably be really like like befuddled and upset. Like, what do you mean? Like work, like my life is my work, my life is like all about self-mastery. And I think my younger self probably was angrier at, you want me to do what? You want me to like bite my tongue again? You want me to, like just
Mm-hmm.
like keep it cool and keep it moving again? Like I think that there were those kind of sentiments. But now, um even when we're talking about like where your intentions are set, where you want your mind to go, and there's like so much stuff that's happening outside of us that has nothing to do with us. And if we're going to turn our attention either inward or to the things that we actually want to see,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like a really hard thing to do. It's a really big ask and it's a really hard ask. It's the same thing with like the black dollar, like put it back into the community, see what happens.
Yeah.
Like it's a very big responsibility. And not everybody is like on board with certain aspects of these certain ideas. But I
Mm-hmm.
think, like the more and more you see like what isn't for you, what was never created for you, what was a reaction because of who we are. Like these are the ways that I think help to adjust. Like, where's my focus going to go? Is it
Yeah.
going to be on television with all this stuff that like pundits and right, left, and this, that, the other, like talking some bullshit? Or am I wanting to create that new, seat at the table? It doesn't even, I don't even really want a seat at the table. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, might not even be a table. It might be like a, a beach or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Yeah. Use your imagination beyond that.
Yeah, for
Yeah, and
sure.
that even like what you had mentioned before about, this sense of purpose, having this greater sense of purpose. And even to me, that shakes that, that intention shakes
Mm-hmm.
that, because when you actually create your lifestyle around intentionality, intentionally saying, okay, I'm going to shop here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to eat
Right.
this, I'm going to, spend this much time with these people, then
Mm-hmm.
that becomes your purpose. So I
Yeah.
think that's something else that we get caught up in, the dynamics of the word, depending on how it means to us. We get caught up on that because we think, oh, this purpose has to be something that, we are, the stars. I mean, yes, the stars align, but but also like, this really grandiose thing, and it's like
Yeah.
it's not it doesn't have to be that. It's not that really, because we shape it again. We shape whatever we feel like we aligns with us,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that what I know, that's also, my art. It's like understanding this alignment that benefits us all, this
Right.
interconnectedness that we all affect one another,
Right.
no matter how separate we think we are.
Right.
One race of people affects the other depending on their choices.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we think about, like, doing things that intentionally align with us, especially things that will bring out more harmony and
Mm-hmm.
peace, then that's what we get. And it's definitely easier said than done. And I
Yeah.
definitely understand that. Also, we don't know anything but the nature of his world being this destructive, the sense of destruction in order to reconstruct and to create,
Mm-hmm.
which is part of planet Earth cycle. We can even see that in nature, but
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think and
That's not
know and
right.
have seen, historically, where it can be, um, recreated, and like we can have the destruction that is needed in order for us to recreate, and it still be within harmony and within the natural laws to where we can all thrive.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has to start with our own choices. It has to start with us on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm.
Definitely. Peace, peace, key of life. Peace, everyone joining.
Hey.
Hold the space. If you have any insight, any questions to anything we're saying, please.
Yeah, I would love to know if anyone's in the chat, like what are your intentions that shape your purpose? Like when
Mm-hmm.
you wake up, what's your intention, of like larger intention, broader spectrum, or just for the day?
Yeah.
I think even what was it? Was it the last time? It was like none of us could really show up for the Tuesday tea, and we were just like, oh, we want to honor just like taking a good deep break, and I think maybe one of us was having a day of like, you just woke up and just lay back down. Just lay back down until you like feel that you can put some better intention towards your day.
Yeah, really
Start with our
honoring the
choice.
spaces that we're in and having that and being accountable to one another in that. To me
Yeah.
that helps. And which and reason why, we are here on Tuesdays because
Hmm.
even those of us that have to, not be here for whatever reason, we
Hmm.
still are accountable in ourselves and then we support one another in those decisions, and making our own choices.
Hmm.
That yeah, it's just it's it definitely takes a lot of what we've been talking about, slowing down. I think I've been seeing all these different conversations around, still wanting to create a sense of normalcy,
Yeah.
as we are making this transition right now, which I think people are, I don't, I it's just interesting to me because we think that within a year's time, within a year's time, conceptually within a year's time, that somehow we can either go back to the way things were or
Who's
ignore it
going back?
altogether.
Who wants
And
to go back?
yeah, and it's just, or think that nothing really major has changed, or
Right.
that the only thing that has changed was this virus. And it's
Right.
like, what? And it's just, it's amazing to me because I keep going back to the conversation we were having when it first happened, and it was like, we didn't we ask for this? Didn't I mean, of course we didn't ask
For the
for people's
pause.
deaths, but we asked for the pause. And
Hmm.
so, but what do we create of that imagination, right? Because again, like your attention flows. So when the fear happened, the chaos happened,
Yeah.
and so how do we con- continue to, or get on the track of like, where in our highest, we're in our most harmonious, if you don't want to go with the highest lower self thing, we're in our most harmonious, uh, for society, can we actually evolve to a place um, of greater humanity?
Hmm.
Period. Like, how can
Yeah.
we get there? Even
Well,
again, starting with ourselves.
I think that that's really important. And two, to also like, I think with a few other friends, I've had conversations of like almost a lot of people wanting to be like that rally cry of like, come on, let's like all like collectively go and do this. And like I feel like that's one of the things I surrendered with the pandemic as a portal and with these eclipses is like it's not my job to make those decisions for other people. The people who are on board are already on board. We own the spaceship. Like and like we're creating that new earth, that new vibration, that higher vibration, and we're tuning into and attuning to those greater intentions that are going to shape a much larger purpose that will have a ripple effect, that is having a ripple effect. That's what these conversations are already. People who are not on board aren't lesser than, they're not, like negative, but it is still like this yin and yang aspect of like one kind of like cycling into another in terms of lessons and lessons about self-mastery. So those are the ways that I can kind of think about those instead of feeling like pissed off that not everybody's on this team instead of that team. Like the fuck, like I don't gotta judge people like that, you know, like or their own purpose or their own missions in life. Like some people I think probably are already valuing their own peace of mind, and that is what that normalcy feels like to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, but there's more to life than that for most of the people who are, I think, chiming in. and and that is where we are right now within this conversation, which I think is something to note because, yeah. Hi.
Yeah, having the ability to heal. Yeah, keep like having
Mm-hmm.
having the time, having the space to heal.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I feel like it's something that we have to reclaim. That I think definitely during this time that we are reclaiming. As part of our birthright, of taking the time and space to be able to rest, to slow down, to be constructive rather than productive, and um, yeah, and to realize what that means for us, like what it means for us to be able to dwell on this earth and still be able to have the things that we need, um, without harming one another.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely,
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Let's just look in the chat.
Herbal teas for healing. Yes, the herbs. Yes, our body. Yeah, your body does heal itself. It's interesting because that's something that I've had to, like, I think I've said that before. I've had to say that even to my mother. When being questioned about like my status and things like that, and I'm like, I have been not just studying but practicing wellness. You know. Um,
Right. Yeah.
for a greater part of my life. And so for someone to think that I should set aside all of that practice and knowledge for something that appeared out of nowhere and then someone else telling me what I should do with my body, it's just, that's ridiculous.
It's not it.
Yeah, it's not it. And I know, um, I know myself and I know my body enough to know what it needs.
Yep.
And also I trust it. I trust my body. And then I'm also not afraid of what happens if so. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm also not afraid. So
Exactly.
I think that's also a major part of it. And it's like yeah, that's my truth. I know what my body can do. I know how to get assistance from nature if need be. And I'm not afraid.
Yes. Yes. And I think that is one of the biggest things that you're seeing on like television, elections, all kinds of stuff is that fear factor that they're feeding you, is just like, that's why I turn it up. I don't got anything but like Netflix and Hulu, like because intentionally I get to choose what I put into my mind. What, like, there are so many other things that are feeding my mind, my body, and my spirit. And I agree with you, and I practice the same exact thing. It's like the the people who don't fear, right? Yeah, fear only, awareness, yeah, and education, exactly.
Right. Yes, awareness, like, yeah, I'm not blind to it. We're not blind to it. We're not, I still will take the precautions needed, all of that thing, but I still know that I know better.
Exactly.
For me.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the people who are churning out this fear that. They fear that strength. They fear that inner, like, what you mean you inner stand?
Yeah.
You overstand. What are you talking about? Well,
Yeah. Well,
you
because
know.
it's, and I can't even necessarily say it's a fear. It's externalized as fear, but
Yeah.
internally I know it's just they feel the resistance, right?
Yes,
They feel the
exactly.
pushback,
And
and
that's what they
so
fear. That's what they
that's
fear. And then they
yeah,
counter that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And so if you're not aware
So
to what
silly.
that feels like, what resistance feels like in your body or in your mind, then you are going to counteract with fear,
Hmm.
definitely.
And when you're doing the opposite, that is what is really integrating. You know, I think you said that you're no longer distracted, you're integrated. So that's that gentleness, that's that truth, that's that intention and purpose that is literally inhabiting inside of you, that is giving you that strength. Like you cannot kill a warrior spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it is what it is. That don't mean I'm not gonna call somebody and be like, "Can you come and spoon me?" You know, like I might need that.
Right. Yeah. I definitely, we definitely need that as well because that is nurturing. Like, we need that part. But yes,
Mhm.
it's another major part of my practice is impeccability. It's like
Ooh,
to do things impeccable, the impeccable warrior.
right.
It's really to be, and that goes back to the intentionality. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna half-ass my practice, half-ass my work.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yes,
yeah.
Keela. Trust and faith in self. Yeah, in your God body. Yeah, like you. That's what we're doing.
Yep.
That is
Yep.
what we're doing. In God we trust.
Hmm.
Gaia and her herbs. Yeah. Hmm.
Yep. Again, like shaping that.
Shape shifting that,
Shape
like
shifting that because that concept, like if you anyone that wants to read that book, Octavia Butler's The Parable, it's just this concept that God has changed, not
right.
and listen to the words. I'm not saying God is like this external like personality, like names and all these other things, like change. Just replace that with change. And when you think about that, like that is just like, oh, like, because that is the only thing consistent and constant. And so
Hmm.
that is what continues to shape us and mold us is change.
Hmm.
And so continues to create this balance. And we
Hmm.
how do we how do we balance this energy once something has shifted or changed or transformed? Like how do we bring it back into this state?
Hmm. Into
Um,
harmony, yeah. Like
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
I love about practicing Chinese medicine. And it's not just practicing as like putting a needle in somebody. And for those people who are from any of my old schools, no, I'm not practicing yet. I'm not fully licensed. Someone else was trying to slide into my DMs and be like, "Your nails are great. Do they hurt people when you practice?" No, you will know once I start practicing on people. Disclaimer. But the practice of Chinese medicine for me is also, it's based and it's rooted in Taoism, which is also everything's kind of derived from Africa, of course, but these karmic, these cycles of
right.
life, these patterns in life, and that is what is so wonderful about practicing Chinese medicine in terms of qigong, meditation, eating well, exercising. What are the doctors that we know? Dr. Sun, Dr. Water, come on. Like all of these things are, an intentional way of setting the tone to my day and my month and my year. And I'll make small goals for myself, right? Like, this, like I just started running again. So I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna make it. I'm gonna do a 5K, but my real goal is a 10K. I'm not a marathon runner. Hell no. But kudos to those of you that are. But just those little things of even like setting that time aside and really getting to know that inner God self, that, really strengthening that intentional mind set, and tuning in to what you already know is the most powerful thing, and that really creates that integration of gentle truth,
Yeah.
that really like really recently I've been like really like loving on my inner child. You know what I mean? Like just like giving that inner child that really gentle truth of like, we got this. I got you.
Hey, Tawana.
Hey.
That's my whole town fan right there. Yes, that gentle truth. I love it. Like it's yeah, it just saying the word gentle, it just brings like this calm sense of just awareness all over your body, when we're practicing all of these things. And what came to mind when you were talking about like this gentle truth and this gentle practice was this weaving in the understanding that even when we do that, yes, consistency with something that works, doing the
Yeah.
5K, doing whatever you have to do to get to that goal, being consistent with that, but being rigid is another thing. I
Right.
think we get trapped in like Kid Black was talking about, the organic vegetables and things like that, which is a yes, definitely, but also paying attention to when our body changes, when our
Mm-hmm.
life changes, when our lifestyle changes,
Right.
when things beyond our control happens, like what we can control, and not being so rigid. Because what happens when
Yeah.
we are rigid, when things start to shift,
Right.
that foundation breaks, because
Right.
it just
Yeah.
no longer aligns with what is happening or what is transforming at that
Yeah.
moment. So I love
Mm.
that, like, idea of gentleness and gentle practice and gentle truth through any stage of our lives.
Hmm. Gentle parenting, even,
Oh, yes.
like that's that's huge for the next generation.
For yourself, like you
For
said, like
yourself,
your inner
because
child,
yeah.
yourself. Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's why it has such a ripple effect, Like our generation is so cool, like whether you're what are you, Gen X or a millennial? Is that it? Or is that the class that we're in? Are we?
For me, I'm not a millennial.
No, I know you're not a millennial, but
Oh,
like what's the letter?
oh, it's
You're
X. Yeah,
you're X.
yeah,
You're
I'm
Gen
X.
X.
Yeah. And then they
Yeah.
try to shift it and say it's Gen X millennial. And I was like, no.
Now this to me goes further into like indigos, like indigo children and star seeds and stuff like that. Like you've got first, second, and third wavers. I feel like I'm a third wave. I'm ready to report.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that this gentle truth is really, I think it's probably the most um, like intentional way to be loyal to that state of mind, that peace of mind, like um and the fact that you were tapping into like rigidity, they in Chinese medicine, wood is associated with liver and springtime, and they'll give you this analogy of like, think about like hard brittle wood, that
Yeah.
like can't bend. If you tried to bend hard brittle wood, it's gonna snap,
Yep.
and you want to bend with the wind. You
Yeah.
want to be breezy.
Yes. Yes. I think of like the bamboo, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you definitely want to bend with the change, the shifts.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Elder Millennial. That's so funny because Amanda Steele had just posted something today where she was checking somebody because they called her Gen Z or she was or millennial or
Huh?
something. And I was like, first of all, but she just went off and was like, I'm an elder. I just want to let you know she refers to me as such. And I was like, oh my God, we're the same age. And she called herself an elder. I was like, I'm not ready, sis. You can have that. I'm not ready. You can have that. I'm not there yet. I mean, yes, I get the point. Definitely respect me as such because I bring
Hmm.
that. Like, I'm beyond elder, like, really. But yeah,
For
just,
real.
I'm not ready to call
Ancient
myself that.
ancient souls. That's another thing, like you can be an ancient soul in a with a young mind and a young body. You know what I mean? Like you can, let's see, I was just sharing my current experiences. Yeah. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. What were you saying about ancient
But
bodies?
I think no, ancient souls, not body.
Oh yeah.
um, I was thinking that because like every with every decade, I feel like that is something, you were talking about like kind of like surrendering to like those changes that are kind of out of control, yet you can still, adjust accordingly, to
Mm-hmm.
how you're evolving. I think that that is something that's really important too, because like it doesn't even have to be like decades of a jump. I'm just bringing up decades because you're closing cycles, you're literally entering a brand new decade now,
Right, right.
So that is like definitely something that's been on my mind because we're about to celebrate a new decade for you.
Yay, celebrate joy. That is this new decade. Yes. About the joy. All about the joy. Man. That,
Hey.
that is like what I'm going into self mastery because like the earlier part of my life, it was really I used to joke like I don't know if Tawana's still on here, but I used to joke like I had on my phone my ringtone. Okay, now I am showing my age. My ringtone was was
Wait, did you have, because I still have this on mine, like if somebody leaves a voicemail, I have music in the background playing. Is
oh,
this
you
you?
still have it on yours. No, I ain't doing that most. I ain't doing that the most. But no.
This is one of
But
those.
I had joy. I had joy and pain on my phone, and so you could hear like joy,
Pump it up, pump
pump it
it
up,
up.
and pain.
Ooh,
Right. Hit me on my page. We ain't gonna even talk about that. But yeah. So I went through that period of my life where that was. I would like embrace that. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm joy and I'm pain. And yeah. But it was mostly just pain. I would bring the pain. Like I would
that's
bring,
hilarious. Oh
I would
man,
bring the pain.
Joy. I'm saying it's not an easy name actually to take on because you have to. I remember I was like this was in my younger years and I was like, every month that's a little bit ironic for me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
it is what it is. But it's
Yeah.
true. Like in my maturing ages, yeah. Oh, of course she has. Yes. Um,
Thank you, love.
yeah. This is a cool question. Key of Life, what are your thoughts and opinions on Dark Night of the Soul?
Dark Night of the Soul.
You heard it called this?
No, what is that?
Oh, Key of Life, can you say like in reference to I have heard this before and know it in a certain context that not everybody subscribes to. So I want to know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, when you were talking about like not having this name, um I remember I had to shift mm, maybe about 6 years ago. I was in Greensboro and I was going through a really rough phase. Just financially, like relationship, everything just seemed like it was crumbling at that point. And I had went in to get some assistance and um this it was a white man. He said, Joy, he said that must be a really he said that must be a really challenging name to have because people expect you to always be that? And I was like, whoa, like I was like,
Kind of.
nobody has ever said that to me before. And I just like almost broke down his office because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm having this moment where I'm still like trying to carry the smile, carry being joy, and go through all these challenges in life with a smile on my face. And it was not honoring my truth.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I had to embrace those points where it was like, I'm not joy. I'm not happiness at this point.
Hmm.
Um, I know that that is a state of me that is always underneath, but it right now is deep, deep, deep down in there, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Keith, I said, AKA shadow work on the self.
Oh, okay. Um, I think we've talked about this before. Shadow work on self. And I also want to honor your time, Joy, because I just realized we went over.
Me? Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Shadow
When this
work.
is over.
Right. Oh, you got the good stuff today. Yeah, we've talked about this. We talked about how it's not the same thing we talked about with the karma and the self mastery. It's not a versus. It's a also and.
Yeah.
Um, so while we're in the process of of self mastery, we're also working on ourselves. So we're
Mm-hmm.
also dealing with the parts of us that are when I think of darkness, I think of not this dreary, fearful, daunting thing that people think about when they talk about dark and light. Yet this experience of having blind spots, having blinders
Exactly.
on, not having access to that part of our consciousness just of yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the awareness comes in. That's where these practices come in, because they actually bring you to a greater sense of awareness about the things that you're doing. So like when I talk about my earlier life cycles, I was doing
Mm-hmm.
things to cope with my situations, to compensate for the lack of nurturing or accountability or just access or whatever, or like awareness that I had for healthier things, for whatever at that point in time. And so when I started to realize that, I started to realize when I started to look at first my health failing and saying, let me start with eating better. So I would go talk to somebody who was doing that. And that conversation led to, meditation practice. And that
Mm-hmm.
conversation led to this book, and that book or this practice. And so that's to me, it's like moving out of this blinded space into a more aware, bright reality.
Mm-hmm.
And still honoring the truth of where I was at that point in time. That's what I think about this shadow work, quote
Heck
unquote.
yeah.
What about
Yep.
you, Joy?
I would echo that. I would say that a Dark Night of the Soul is like the Tower card in the tarot, right? Where there's just like these big illuminated truths of how you've been, just echoing you, like coping or compensating for things that you thought were out of your control. This like, like gauze has been pulled back from over your eyes and you go, "Oh, this is how I was not honoring my truth. This is how I was not stepping into my purpose on purpose. It was because of these other things, these other blind spots that I was unaware of. And there are these series of events now that are leading me to really going inward. I mean, and Dark Night of the Soul kind of events or times are like they can be like very, really heavy, right? Like you could be like curled up into a ball, for a couple of days if that's you,
Mm-hmm.
in your bed. But after that, I think Dada, yeah, darkness, it helps you shine brighter. Yeah. It's just like, being buried in really dark, thick, luscious soil, and like you needing that in order to, sprout your roots and grow. Those are very intentional and very purposeful events, I think, that happen in people's lives. And I think that they happen, you could call them growing pains even,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in like the simplest of terms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, the growing pains and having these pain points in our life. Um, the key of life is asking, do we think it's possible to be joyful and happy all of the time? Um, for me,
Hmm.
no. For me, no. And I think when we think that we should be, we're spiritually bypassing something. We are
Totally.
ignoring something.
Yeah.
And I don't know what all the time, that could be, you could be for a year, like have no external or internal conflicts whatsoever. 2 years, 5 years, whatever that looks like for you. Again, like moving through your karmic cycles, whatever that looks like for you. But I think, especially if we are really truly honoring the shifts in our lives, for me, that we can have this unshakable state of peace. That means my values, my belief, my trust in, even if it's not necessarily myself, something outside of myself does not shake. But to be happy and joyful all the time, that's a state of being, right? That's a feeling that can shift and change.
Yeah.
Peace is a state of being. And so yeah, I think if we can be, very disillusioned if we're just like, bubbly and, whatever all the time, and to me, that's a personality factor. That's not necessarily what's going on underneath.
And you haven't taken some vow to be a, Buddhist monk or something like that. You're not purposefully taking yourself out of the everyday rigmarole and tuning into this like state of like nirvana or contentedness at all times. You can practice that. We're all in, and yeah. What is the adage? Like, we are in of the world, not in it, right? And I would say the same. Like, you can practice these ways of being and your own loyalty to your peace of mind. But at the end of the day, exactly, joy is the same thing on that larger, pictograph of an emotion that you're going to go through. Energy in motion is emotion. So you're going to cycle through these things, and it's very natural to do.
Yes, yes, it is very, very natural to do. I always, and that's one part that I've learned to honor. I thought that thought I was getting to this point where, oh, everything was going to constantly be okay, and I was going to have no worries in the world, and yeah, like you said, I'm still part of this world. I haven't removed myself. I haven't moved onto a mountain on top of. I thought about it, but that still wouldn't solve my problems.
Yeah.
So I have to dealing with, like, again, like grounding myself in the reality of where I am and who I am. Understanding that, yeah, I'm going to go through these shifts, these cycles of emotions, depending on what happens in my life.
Yeah.
Well, love, how you feeling?
We got one more sip.
Right.
And then I need to study, actually. So
Yes. Well, let's go ahead and like start to wind down then. How you have any medicine to give to the peoples, to our fam here?
oh my goodness, I feel like our entire talk was filled, both you and I, of of that. Just
Yeah.
be loyal to your own peace of mind. I think that is the most important thing moving forward, going back to normal. Like, you get to be the judge and discern your own truths and what you imbibe in and what you don't.
My
And
yes.
and yeah, like, I would say that would be the medicine for this week from me.
And while you're being loyal to your own mind, also be gentle with yourself. In that, the mind is a very complex, and it can only like bring in experiences from its past or present. And so we like to imagine things in the future. And so I want you to be gentle with what you're imagining for yourself and for others. And also be childlike in that imagination, be colorful, be outlandish, really, grasp onto something that feels like, feels believable, obtainable, but also, yeah, just very creative and very loving. So thank you all. Thank you for
Thank you
joining
for
me
joining.
live. Damdada, Kiera, Tawana, all of you all that chimed in.
Yay.
Appreciate you all. Come join us We might, yeah, we have next week, and then we'll be in No Love. Peace, love. Make sure you are tapping in with all of what we're doing. I know Joy is still doing her getting donations for her bus. We all are
Oh,
doing different things to, to move along our work. So make sure you
yeah.
are following all of us.
I'll say something about that right quick for those who don't know. I'm Earthworks Acupuncture on Instagram, and I am a soon-to-be licensed acupuncturist. I just moved, so getting my license in this state is coming. It's coming. It's coming. But we are building a mobile acupuncture clinic. The goal is $20,000 that will get us the bus that is already ready and here in North Carolina, and also supplies, including chairs, tents, tables, sharps containers, acupuncture needles, AED, CPR equipment, all the good stuff, so that I can help make acupuncture accessible to the communities around here. And it's like very important to me. It's very important. The community's ready and waiting, and we need help funding this. It's very hard to get loans from the bank because I'm still in school. I'm in a doctoral program, which is like the biggest like snafu. It's like I can't take out a loan and do this. So like a lot of this is community based and funded, and me just like working side jobs. So the GoFundMe link is in my biography on Earthworks Acupuncture, and I would really appreciate if you even spared coffee money for it.
Yes, and it's also in my bio as well. So if
Ah,
you
thank
all
you.
want to give me a birthday gift, donate to Joy.
Woo!
Let's do
Double
that.
joy.
So love, love. Also one last thing, because Cassie in here asked about when I'm doing the cleanse. I'm
Oh,
actually they're in my on my website. You know, if you sign up for one of the online courses, you're gonna get all of my courses, including the juice and live plans, because it is that time, solstice time for you to cleanse. You can get my ebook on my website. You can also get the ebook for Kindle on Amazon, and you can get the course on my website and my link in the bio. All
yes.
right.
I
Love,
love
love.
joy. Love. Peace.
Peace.